on the top of a hill, there lived a very happy, carefree creature who loved to sing and dance and play his fiddle, and he did all three very well. And he had a winning smile and not a penny to his name, and he never did a lick of work, and he was green all over naturally, being a grasshopper, and everyone called him Hop. And that's what he did, all right, hop. He would hop from one place to another, looking for a good time, which he usually found if he had to make it all by himself. When it came to cutting a caper or trilling a tune, not another grasshopper could touch him. But somebody had to work. It wasn't Hop. Somebody had to keep an eye on the grass for barren patches, but not Hop. And there had to be sky watchers constantly scanning for birds who loved nothing better than a nice, succulent, unsuspecting grasshopper. Well, Hop looked neither up nor down. Sometimes he even closed his eyes, being that carried away with the music he was making. Yes, Hop was pretty blind to everything but a good time. There was one bird, though, who wasn't blind to Hop. He was a young buzzard, and his name was Bubba, and he hated just about everything. His parents, and flowers, and sunsets, and music. He loathed music, which is why he particularly hated Hop. He was a bully and a coward at heart, a juvenile delinquent, just waiting for Hop to step out of the protective coloring of the green grass onto a barren spot where, as everyone knows, a grasshopper then becomes a sitting duck, which is the next step to a dead pigeon. And his friends said things like, "Someday Hop is going to get it." But today Hop sang. He sang at the drop of a hat, even if he had to drop his own.
Oh, the world owes me a living. Oh, the world owes me a living. If I work hard all day, I might sleep better. When in bed at night, I sleep all day, so that's all right.
At the end of his song, Hop gave an extra little hop and hopped clear out of the grass. Bubba swooped, and only the quick action of his friend Gabriel saved his life. Bubba circled, screaming with frustration, clawing the air like a spoiled brat. It was a close call, all right. "Thank you, Gabriel," he said, "for saving my fiddle." Gabriel was his close friend and constant companion. Gabriel was a cricket. He wanted to be a musician like Hop and play a musical instrument, any kind of instrument. Poor Gabe couldn't carry a tune. What he lacked in talent, he made up for in energy, though. And at the present time, he was practicing on a blade of grass which he held between his front legs and blew upon. At the same time, rubbing his back legs together to keep the rhythm. This shook him up some. Hop put up with him because, well, he was more available from work than any of the others. In other words, he was nearly as lazy as Hop. "Take 5, said Hop kindly, noticing how pooped his friend looked. Gabriel smiled his thanks. "What are you eating, Hop?" "Seed tassels," said Hop. "Very tasty. Have one." "I'll save mine for later," said Gabriel. "Think how good one of these will taste come fall." And he wrapped several little seed tassels in a maple leaf for later. Hop ate all his right now. "Hop," said Gabe, "you haven't saved one thing for winter." Hop laughed. "Winter is so far away. Summer is the time for play." And he laughed. Finally, Gabriel had to laugh, too. One laugh leads to another, as anyone knows, and it doesn't take any time to lead a laugh, ha-ha, into a song. And before long, there was such singing and noise as you ever heard, and smack dab in the middle, Hoppy and his fiddle.
If I work hard all day, I might sleep better when in bed at night. Sleep all day.
Down at the bottom of the hill was a deep ditch, and at the bottom of the ditch were the ants, very busy working as usual, with the usual bunch of sidewalk loafers watching them. And they were something to watch, those ants. peep in the storehouse. One line going that way to the storehouse, pushing and hauling their load. The other line coming this way to the dump, empty-handed for now, until they got their load and got in the other line going that way. And sitting between the two lines on a large pebble was the queen ant, slowly revolving so she could keep her eyes on both lines, her antenna attuned to the furthermost reaches of both lines. There was nothing the queen missed, her antenna being the most powerful and highly sensitive in the entire kingdom, which, of course, according to ant custom, is why she was queen. You might say she was every inch a queen, except that she wasn't even an inch. But nobody got out of line just the same. There was one young worker ant named Andy, named for an uncle, who was very smart and who had a pretty powerful antenna of his own, and he loved music. Andy believed in hard work like all ants. He also believed in play like all ants, and he was pretty good at managing to play while he was working. And sometimes, just for the fun of it, he went backwards in both lines. He didn't choose to think he was cheating. He chose to think he was developing his leg muscles. He was carrying on such doodads behind the queen's back, of course, that several ants in the workload line almost dropped their loads when they saw him. They were carrying balls of cotton on their backs, which the scout ants had found in the top of an old vitamin pill bottle, and which the queen thought would make nice winter bedding. "What in the name of old Aunt Harriet is that boy doing?" one of the workers whispered. "Dancing to music," he says. "Oh, I wish I had his antenna," said the first ant. "He's overdoing it. If there was music, you could be sure the queen would hear it." "He's moving his lips now," said the first ant, "like singing." "That boy will grow up to be a cheat," said the first ant. "Or a king," said the second ant. Finally, Andy could stand it no longer. "I can't stay here. I must go where the music is. I want to sing too. Let the others lift that load and tote that cotton." Then Andy did something he had never done before. He got out of line, and he was at the top of the hill before the queen revolved again. "Oh, this is music to dance forward to," said Andy, and he did, right up to Hop. "Welcome, music lover," said Hop. "Would you care to take a chorus?"
Oh, the world owes me a living. Diddle-diddle-diddle-dum.
Wait for me, Andy.
Oh, the world owes me a living.
Diddle-diddle-dum.
Oh, the world owes me a living.
Diddle-diddle-dum.
If I work hard all day, I might sleep better when in bed at night.
I sleep all day, so that's all right.
Diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle-dum.
Both Gabriel and Hop praised Andy for his rendition. "We'd make a fine trio," said Hop. "You've got a quartet now," said a new voice. It was the queen. "Oh," said Gabriel, surprised. "Oh," said Hop, delighted. "Oh," said Andy, terrified. "Would your majesty like to take a chorus alone?" suggested Hop. The queen withered Hop with a withering look. Then she looked at Andy, and she really outwithered herself. "Home," she commanded, pointing her antenna like a royal scepter. Never did a disloyal subject obey a command more loyally. When the queen returned to the work camp, Andy was already back in line, the one going that way. For many days after, Andy worked hard to make up for his time off. The sweat ran into his eyes, his new big leg muscles ached, and his head was crammed with snatches of song. But that was good. And suddenly, summer was gone. The first nip was in the air. Hop was still a-singing and a-swinging, but his audiences were noticeably smaller. The grasshoppers were busy preparing against the days when there would be no grass to hop in. It was almost impossible to get together a trio. In fact, things were down to Hop and Gabe now, which wasn't even a duo, and there was no grass for Gabe to blow upon, and he was down to his rhythm section, reduced to just rubbing his hind legs together, and because he was always cold and shivering, this ruined his rhythm. Hop couldn't tell whether he was practicing or just being cold. The first frost brought out all the meanness in Bubba the Buzzard. He was completely out of hand at home. Even young wrens weren't safe in the skyways after dark. His father said, "That crazy kid," and his mother cried a great deal. And every time Bubba heard Hop's music, he would get that mean, discontented look on his face. The ants had moved camp nearer their winter home, and if possible, they were busier than ever. And Andy was tooting and fetching with the best of them. In fact, he was the best of them. And he never got tired of playing over and over, in his head, of course, snatches of song, like records on a machine.
Oh, the world owes me a living. If I work hard all day, I might sleep better when in bed at night. I sleep all day, so that's all right. Deep inside of
And the winds grew sharper, and the days grew shorter, and most of the grasshoppers disappeared for the winter. Only Gabe and Hop now on the windswept hilltop, huddling under twigs for warmth, scratching at roots for food. Hop had lost his sunny disposition, and he snapped at Gabe about his playing. I can't help it, cried Gabe. I'm cold and hungry. I'm cold and hungry too, snapped Hop. But that's your fault, cried Gabe. The frost grew heavier and whiter, and now it was snow. Even Hop's fingers were too cold to play his fiddle. I can't stand this, said Gabe. I need a hearth. Every cricket needs a hearth. Maybe you're right, said Hop. I'll go with you, just long enough to warm my fingers. Sadly, Gabe shook his head. They won't let you in, he said. You didn't work for it. I'll be lucky if I get a drafty spot away from the fire. I did loaf a little, but you didn't do anything. I'm sorry, said Hop. Sorry's not enough, said Gabe. And up above, Bubba flew through the cold air, biting at the snowflakes, wishing each one was Hop. And as he bit, he sang. Oh, the world owes me a hopper. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. What am I doing? Cried Bubba. I hate music. Bubba's worried mother sent him to the wise old owl, who asked Bubba questions while he just lay on a couch and slept. And when he was rested, he was off again on his hop hunt, which was harder now. There was no music from Hop to guide him. But sooner or later, he would see a green spot on the snow, which would be Hop. Down below, it was still and quiet. Only Bubba's shadow moved across the snow, dark and threatening. Hop was completely alone. He had no one to blame but himself. He was cold and hungry and frightened. No home, no place to go. He stumbled on through the deep snow. I'm sorry, he kept saying, I'm sorry. And then he began to sing softly. Oh, the world owes me a living. Tra-la-la-la. His feet were so cold he couldn't take one more step, and he fell down by a little round hill of snow. Hop didn't know it, but under this hill was the ants' winter home, all warm and cozy, so near and yet so far. Inside the ants' house, you never saw such goings-on. Not work, you understand. Oh, well, just the ordinary daily chores, of course, but play. Well, there were games and contests and amateur theatricals and a long, low table laden with every goodie imaginable, goodies gathered at the height of their summer goodness. Everyone was carefree and very relaxed. Orderly, of course, but informal. And do you know what Andy was doing? He was in a nice warm bathrobe and slippers, and he was singing for the Queen, singing the snatches of song he had stored up with the food. Needless to say, he was the most popular figure at court. Outside, Bubba was wheeling and circling on his never-ending hunt for the green spot that would be Hop. And Hop was growing weaker, but he still tried to sing.
Oh, the world owes me a living. Oh, the world owes me a living.
Inside, all unbeknownst to Hop, Andy was doing an encore. For my 7th encore, Your Highness, I shall do this old favorite of my old friend Hop. And he sang, The World Owes Me a Living.
Oh, the world owes me a living. Diddle-daddle-doddle-dee-dum. Oh, the world owes me a living. Diddle-daddle-doddle-dee.
Suddenly he stopped his singing to listen. Continue, the Queen said. I thought I heard something. Someone singing, said Andy, adjusting his antenna. They all listened. I hear nothing, said the Queen, her antenna alert. Keep singing. Yes, ma'am, said Andy. But he felt funny. He was sure there was singing nearby, outside. He flexed his antenna again. Then he heard it and stopped again. Sing, cried the Queen. I command you. It was very still in the ants' house. All eyes were on Andy. Outside the door, cried Andy, almost beside himself. Can't you hear it? Now all eyes were on the Queen. I'll go along with Andy, whispered one old ant. Up to his tricks again, said the jealous one. I am the Queen, and I have the best antenna, and I don't hear anything, and you sing, said the Queen. Andy sang.
Oh, the world owes me a living. Oh, the world owes me a living.
Outside, poor Hop was almost past caring. Ice was forming on his wings. Help, called Hop. Is there no help anywhere for a poor grasshopper? He raised his eyes to heaven, and there in the sky was Bubba. Oh, help, cried Hop. Inside the ant's house, Andy stopped singing again. I'm picking up a call for help, he said. Every ant was on the alert. Every antenna tuned higher. This was serious. One never fibbed about a call for help. The Queen was on her feet, tense, listening, straining. She could hear nothing. Have I outgrown my usefulness, she thought? Is Andy's antenna better than mine? Am I Queen or not? I hear no call for help, she said. The ants all let out the breath they'd been holding. I do, cried Andy, and it's the voice of my old friend Hop the Grasshopper, and I'm going to him. The ants held their breath again. Insubordination. The Queen drew herself up. It was her finest moment. This, she cried, is my last command. To the rescue, King Andy. The ants all let out their breath again and charged the door. It was a heavy door, barred tight against the cold. Would they be in time? They worked under King Andy's command like beavers, which is hard for ants. And where was Bubba? He was flying low, and suddenly his sharp eye picked out something in the snow. Could it be, he wondered? It was! Oh, what great luck! A green spot. He went into a power dive. Hop didn't have another help in him. He was frozen with fear as well as cold. In fact, he was so cold he turned blue. Bubba looked down again. Had he made a mistake? What he thought was a green spot didn't look green at all. It was blue, only a blue spot. Bubba blinked. He blinked again. Bubba put on the brakes. It isn't Hop, he screamed. It's something blue. And he was so mad, he shot himself into such a fast upclimb that he hit a hailstorm, and he was nearly beaten to death before he could head home. He was black and blue all winter. So quickly did the army of ants under the new King Andy rescue Hop that he was inside safe and warm before the first hailstone hit the ground below. Hail, the ants shouted, bolting the door on the inside. Hail! And Andy didn't know whether they meant this for him or the weather. But he wasted no time as a new king giving orders. His friend Hop was thawed out in a nice warm tub and fed hot broth, and his fiddle was warming by the fire. Tonight, said King Andy, I'm giving a big ball. May I stay? Asked Hop hopefully. You will not only stay, you will play. That's a command, laughed King Andy. Only if I can change my tune, said Hop. What do you mean? Asked King Andy. Like this, said Hop, picking up his fiddle.
Oh, I owe the world a living, dee-da-do-dee-dum. Oh, I owe the world a living, dee-da-do-dee-dum. I've got a bad cold in my head. You ants were right the time you said you got to work for all you get. Dee-da-do-dee-dum.
God bless you. The end.